man, this episode was just, what the fuck? Guys, what's up? This your boy Comrade Zero Spike back again once again. And today we're here for Avataro Sentai Donbrothers episode 34, and I'm just, what happened? What is this? Has to be the greatest finesse in Toku history. I don't care. Put in the comments you think what's the best finesse, but this man Kijino just said, man, you better give me my girl back or you going to jail, muff. Like, what was? All right, so what we gonna do? We just gonna go talk about what happened in this episode, and I'll give you my thoughts and my thoughts and concerns. Cause what? All right, so basically we start off with the episode, and we see that Kijino, the true villain of this episode. Basically your boy is feeling bad about him becoming a hitotsuki twice, and and Tado's like, hey man, don't worry about it. I mean, at least you ain't got, at least you got a clean forehead, unlike these two losers. And I'm like, oh, that's effed up. But also we see that Tado does thank Kaito for saving him, but he doesn't tell everybody what happened. Kaito and Tado, Kaito doesn't tell everybody what happened. I gotta be Kaito. I gotta be the mysterious one in this group. So we see that the rest of the crew, the rest of the Donbrothers basically tell Tado, they say, yeah man, you can't, he's like, Sonoi is kind of acting like you. And he's like, ain't no resemblance. There's no resemblance. He just doesn't believe it. But he remembers back when when his power was taken away from him during Sonoi's funeral. Maybe that had did something and something like that. But he kind of just brushes it off. Because we pan over to the rest of the Cerebrand, and the Cerebrand said the same thing to Sonoi. They basically say that, hey, you're starting to act like you kind of sound and acting like Tado, and it's just like, no, I'm not. It's only one of a kind. They both say this, like, we're both one of a kind. So we did pan over to them have a new hitotsuki has entered the ring, and is the Deca Ranger hitotsuki, but he's a wolf. And basically he says that his whole thing is like, oh hey, I'm a best chef, I'm a really good chef and stuff like that. He said, come to my place, eat my food, but you're still making people disappear. Which is another thing. I know I've said this before in previous videos, but man, why does every hitotsuki have this power to just eat people, or just you have a power that makes people disappear, or have a power that turns people into something? It's like, yo, like I guess he just took random civilians to turn them into something. But also I felt like, since this hitotsuki for this episode was Deca Ranger based, which are cops, it was foreshadowing some stuff. And also he had two tongues and everything. It was kind of ugly. But we see that they ended up basically intercepting him, and we see that they start fighting him and stuff like that. We see the Cerebrand also show up themselves, and when they show up, we see that everybody else is fighting the hitotsuki, while Sonoi and Tado get their own little thing going. So while they are fighting each other, they basically are repeating each other and basically saying that, hey, my companions told me something. They said I'm starting to act like you, or you're acting like me, or something like that. So they end up fighting this hitotsuki, and then the hitotsuki does end up getting away. So since the hitotsuki ended up getting away, we did pan over to Tsubasa, who was basically like, there's no way this woman looks exactly, talking about Miho, there's no way this woman looks exactly like Natsume. But we did get a short scene with Kijino talking about, he's like, hey, he's like, he still feels really bad about him becoming a hitotsuki twice. We see that Miho does come and console him, basically says that I'm always gonna be here by your side. You know, even he's like, even if I become a monster, he's like, yeah, I'll still be here, even if you were a monster, and you'll probably be a pretty cute monster anyway. I'll give you a big old smooch. I'm like, man, yeah, man, Miho the goat, man, Miho the goat, but not in this episode though. But we do see that Tsubasa basically asks Kijino, is that, hey man, you were talking about how good your wife's cooking is, so I want to come over there. I want to come over there and try that food. And he tried the food, all right. He tried the food and took a to-go plate. Like this was the shit. So we see that he goes and he's talking with Kijino and Miho. Then we pan over to Jiru, still in his Tortobolt form. He's still in his Tortobolt personality. And we see that he's feeling some effects. We'll talk about that a little later, but it seems like when he fought Murasame, we see that the effect of Murasame's blade probably took like a real big toll onto him, and we'll get to that in a second. But we see Tsubasa still talking with Miho and Kijino, and he's starting to reminisce about, he's starting to think about like, oh man, like this must have been. He's like, oh well, I wonder how good her food is, and he sees everything that she cooked. Turns out, everything she cooked is exactly what Natsumi used to cook, and he basically says that, oh, this is the food I taught her how to cook, so this has to be Natsumi. There's no ifs, ands about it. She has to be Natsumi. So he basically says a line to her that she used to tell him all the time, which was, I bet you tell that to all the girls. And he says the same things. I bet you tell that. I bet you say that to all the guys. So he tells her, hey, I bet you say that to all the girls. And then she switches over, and she becomes Natsumi again. And they're saying their goodbyes and stuff like that. Tsubasa's leaving, and then out of nowhere, Miho chases after him. But it's not Miho, it's Natsumi. So she chases after him and then hugs him, and then Kijino just standing there like, what the hell is happening? He's standing there, and then she leaves with him. They run off, and I'm just like, you ain't say nothing. Y'all just gonna leave? That's it? And you just left my boy there high and dry at night on the roof. Man, I would have transformed and rolled out. I would have been like, give me my girl back, you mother. Hey, you dumb dog. Like, that's how it was. But I'm just like, what's happening? So we pan back over. We pan over to all the Sarah brands, which I don't know how they got, where they getting this money from. Anyway, they were all dressed up all nice and formal, stuff like that. And he was like, why is she, Sonoi is like, why are we dressed like this? And he's like, oh, well, this is formal wear. This is what humans dress like, stuff like that. Basically, he's going out taking them to eat, right? So they ended up going to this udon stand. They go to this udon stand. Turns out, Haruka, Blue, and Tado are all there. So they sit down next to them, and they're all eating. I guess they're getting ready to eat together. We see that Sonoza and Sonoi, they don't know what any of this food is, so they just pick them by shapes. They just like, yeah. So we see that Sonoi, they're all eating and stuff like that, and they're both passing back words and saying cool stuff. And then that's when Tado gives him this sauce. He gives him this sauce. And when Sonoi eats it, the sauce is like so overwhelming to the point where he cries out, literally sheds a tear, and cries out the juices that were given to him while he was dead. And he basically cries out the Tado whole personality thing, and he becomes regular Sonoi again. His eyes turn back blue, and yeah, then then Sonoza and Sonoi or Sononi, they get happy. They get happy. They're jumping and hugging each other and stuff like that. And I'm just like, don't you guys not have emotions? But we'll get back to that later. So We pan back over, and then turns out the after, then Taro's like, they basically tell Taro to say something cool, and he was like, oh, okay, your food is I give it 32 points. And I'm like, 32 points? You eat here all the time. You mean to tell me it only gets a 32, dog? All right, whatever. So turns out this old man working at this udon stand, he is the Deca Ranger hitotsuki, this wolf dog hitotsuki. And I'm just sitting here like, wait, how did he become a hitotsuki in the first place? Like, we didn't even get to see how it even happened. How did he become a hitotsuki in the first place? So they ended up fighting him, and while they're fighting him, we see that we're gonna have basically Sonoi and Sonoi and Taro basically have a contest of, hey, whoever beats him first wins. So everybody else is fighting each other, stuff like that. We see Haruka starts fighting Sanoza, and Haruka's like, why are you fighting me? You're my chief editor. He's like, hey, that's a whole different thing. We're fighting right now. And we also get some words exchanged between Sonoi and Blue. But also, we see that Kijino tries to come in, and he ends up failing and flying into the wall. And also Tsubasa is also there. He pops in too, but like how we know, they still don't know who Black is. They still don't know that Tsubasa is Inu brother. So we end up seeing that, hey, he ends up we see while they're fighting each other, while Sonoi and Taro are still fighting the hitotsuki, they try to fight it off, stuff like that. But then that's when Taro transforms into his new form, his phoenix form. And that's when the Inu brothers like, hey, why is he all gold? And he's like, that was the Kijino's like, that was literally a whole thing. How did you miss that? Like, we know Tsubasa ignored a lot of the stuff that happened in that episode anyway. So yeah, so they end up fighting this Hitotsuki, and that's when Taro traps him inside of his ultimate attack. But he also traps Sonoi inside the ultimate attack, and when he uses it, he ends up destroying before the attack hits. Sonoi jumps out of the peach, and the little piece that he traps you in, he jumps out of it and he destroys the Hitotsuki. Then we get our mech fight, which introduced us to a brand new mecha. We're back to and guess what, guys? We're back to traditional suits again. So no CGI battle, just straight up, just straight up a whole traditional mech suit. So we end up fighting him off. This thing he's doing a bunch of dog stuff. He tries to pee on him and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm like, man, hurry up and kill this thing, man, because he tried to pee on you. Really? I understand it's a dog. We gotta have dog jokes. But yeah, man, just go ahead and kill this thing, because there's a lot other crap going on in the background. So they ended up defeating him. And, transforming him back and stuff like that. Then we get to the parts where it get kind of wrenching. So we go back to we did get some scenes between Tsubasa and Natsumi, and it turns out Natsumi doesn't remember anything. She doesn't remember what happened to her that night when she got pulled in that portal. Like, she doesn't remember any of that, but Tsubasa doesn't care, man. He's like, you know what, it's fine, having you back is enough. And he doesn't, she doesn't remember anything. So we get in the next day. We see Kijino waking up and everything. He's like, oh, not a cloud in the sky, feels good. And I'm like, he was like super happy, and I'm just like, yo, like, do you not remember what homeboy did that night? Do you not remember that? I was thinking, like, did something switch? Do you not remember that? So he ends up inviting Tsubasa out to lunch, and this is where the Law and Order SVU plot twist happens, where turns out he invites him there. He said, hey, when you go get my wife here, do you think you can help me give my wife back? And he's like, man, look, let me tell you something. Miho doesn't exist. Miho never existed. She's always been Natsumi, my Natsumi. I know how you feel, but I don't want to do this to you. But still, like, Natsumi's my girl. Like, there is no Miho. And Kijino's like, nah, man, you tripping, dog. Like, man, give me my wife back. You're stupid. Miho's like my whole world. She's my whole thing. She's my whole life. And he's like, I'm sorry. But then it turns out that's when the cops come in and put handcuffs on Tsubasa. And then, and he's like, why you guys holding on to me? I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. And then Kijino just has this horrible smile. Oh my God, just the birth of a villain. Just this horrible smile. And then he's like, oh, he's quite guilty. And I was just like, what the camera zoomed in on his teeth, his top row of teeth. I'm like, get the camera off this man's teeth. Like, God dang, y'all got the whole, all his bicuspids at the precinct. Like, man. So he ends up arresting him. He ends up going to the interrogation room. Turns out Haruka's aunt is going to be interrogating him. And I'm like, yo, Kijino played the game so freaking well. This is a guy with a corporate job, by the way. Man, the birth of a villain. I don't know. But also, when it comes down to the whole Jiddu thing, Jiddu is still feeling the effects of the Murasame blade, which makes it kind of weird because does it seem like Jiddu might be a Noto or a Cerebrand? Because we know that with his introduction into the show and into the team, he had the same backstory as Tato, but if you notice back then, all that was in black and white. So if anything, would Jiddu be a Noto / Cerebrand if his mind is like warped or something like that? And it also kind of would explain why he has two personalities. We already know. I mean, we kind of know the answer for that, but it'll also explain more of why he has like two personalities or was able to develop a second personality. So, and also with the whole Miho and Kijino and Tsubasa thing, there was actually another scene, a deleted scene that happened where we see Kijino is like just in the house by himself. He's cleaning up and putting away stuff and stuff, like getting ready for bed, but he has a complete mental breakdown in that, and we actually saw the preview. We actually saw that in the preview for this episode. So yeah, that was a whole deleted scene. I'm like, why'd y'all delete that? Like, because the whole thing was abrupt. Like, it just went from him being sad and him waking up in the morning being completely happy. So I'm just like, how did that happen? And you just cut out an entire scene that explained that. But we did, after that, also with the Cerebrand / the Noto, we see that Sonoi and Sonoza were happy and hyping, just happy that, the regular Sonoi was back. So when it comes down to that, I'm like, are they slowly starting to develop their own personality and own emotions, technically? Because the more they spent time on Earth, I guess they've started to develop this love for each other, or to start developing these other emotions as they stay here. Because they were really happy to see regular Sonoi back, and I'm pretty sure they're probably really happy to not be calling him Master Sonoi anymore. But excuse me, but after that, Kijino, man, you are a monster, man. You'll be tripping about your woman, man, and I commend it. But I'm just like, yo, and he did all this without knowing that they're both Donbrothers. So when it's revealed, when it's revealed that Tsubasa is Inu brother, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. But other than that, next week's episode looks absolutely freaking cool. So, hey, there's that. But hey, man, this episode was awesome. This episode was so freaking awesome. They had some Law and Order SVU aspects going on. The birth of a villain. I swear, if Kijino became a villain, man, oh my god. But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about this episode, man. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'm going to see you guys next time. Remember, stay Henshin.